How's it going, everybody? So we're going to leave all the Centurion stuff behind us for a while. The Punishes are coming soon, but as all of you are aware, the patch did include a few additional hero changes. And judging by the reaction everywhere, not all of them make all that much sense to the community. If you watched any other content creators talk about the patch, you've heard some of them say that these changes need to be looked at in terms of the upcoming core combat update. AKA the testing ground changes that we've been waiting for quite some time now. But for one, we don't know exactly what these are, as we can for sure expect some further changes, as well as the timing of them. Why change these characters now and not just wait and apply these changes when they're actually relevant? The other big thing is that it requires explaining what these number changes actually do. We've recorded pre-patch footage to show you exactly what these changes mean in game. We know that the topic of light spam is a dicey one, and Ubisoft is trying to limit mindless button mashing. Their attempt to do this, well, I guess turn-based is a little harsher term here, but they're trying to use frame advantage to dictate who can attack first, and if someone repeatedly only hammers on the light button, then knowing about said frame advantage will help you beat that person. So long story short, what does this mean in terms of light spam? Frame advantage means that if both players press the light button after a specific action, one player's attack will connect sooner. That player had frame advantage in that example. You get hit by a light finisher, and now both you and your opponent press light again, your light will connect sooner. If you played the testing ground a few months back, you know that this wasn't always the case. So now we're going through the hero balance changes for this patch, and I can show you exactly what these mean in the context I just laid out for you. We can start with Jormungandr, one of the main offenders of light spam during said test. They added 33 milliseconds, aka 1 frame, to the recovery of the finisher light, as well as the combo bash. This is what it looked like pre-patch. Both lights would hit at the same time, no one had frame advantage. The hit recovery was 100 milliseconds faster in the testing rounds, which allowed George to keep light attacking you without the chance of an interrupt. Now it looks like this. Jormungandr's light comes out 1 frame too late to trade. The opponent has frame advantage and can interrupt. This goes for successful hits as well as blocks. Another change that ties in here are the hype armor changes. Once again, this was before the patch, you armored through the attack. And now, with the hype armor kicking in later, your heavy will get interrupted. Same deal with the light bash light and bash into heavy. Guess we should finish all the other George changes. Another one that would have been a nice change to his unblockable finisher viability is the feint to Lawbringer. Patch notes say that it tracks now, but it doesn't. It can still be backdodged if you chain into it from a heavy. Why? Because the change didn't go through. The delay between the two heavies is still 300 instead of the 200 that are listed in the patch notes. Mind you, the GB tracks just fine when using a light as the first attack. Further changes were made to his stamina drains and pause. While I welcome both of these changes, this might change early August when the other changes come. I keep saying change. The parry counter had a stamina drain for 60 during the last test and was the main culprit, so no clue how short-lived these nerfs here are. Now moving on to the most questionable changes to a character, Hitokiri. Once again, we're going to look at it in the light of the upcoming core combat update. With that said, who complained about Hito light spam? I honestly didn't see any complaints specifically for that test. She was not in a position to actually light spam. Her kit didn't allow for it. Let me explain. You're currently seeing the pre-patch footage. Both on hit as well as block, the attacks would trade. No frame advantage to either player. The recovery on the Hito for hitting or having the enhanced light blocked is 600 milliseconds. During the testing round, that recovery was 700 milliseconds. Now they removed the enhanced property, which means that if the light finisher gets blocked, there is no more trading. But regardless, with what we know about the planned recovery changes, this nerf was completely pointless. Hitokiri light spam is not an issue now and wouldn't have been an issue in the future, which leads me to believe that we will see many more recovery changes and no standardization is going to happen. Otherwise, like I said, this change doesn't make sense, not even a little bit. As it is, this can only be chalked down to current light spam complaints, which A, shouldn't be a thing in the first place, and B, this change won't affect these players as they don't know the consequences. The hyper armor removal goes hand in hand here. No more trading with lights. I don't quite understand the removal of Hito's neutral armor, but George can somehow keep his. But I feel like I've made that statement before in the past. Hyper armor on her sweep seems to only affect direct reads when people try to interrupt it with a light. We've only briefly gone over the possible backstep heavies, but none of them interrupt the kick, they still all connect too late. What might be worth testing is if fast dodge attacks on some characters can now negate both kick and sweep, as the hyper armor is way too late to trade now. Now for her Senbon Sakura being parryable, I think it's hard to judge at the moment without having seen what else they have planned for other feats. At the moment it seems like a pointless nerf when we have many other much stronger tier 4s. Feat changes are good and much needed, but the timing here just seems terrible as it will still mostly be used when confirmed, aka of out of stamina throws or revenge or when having teammates confirm it. Moving on to Goki, his hyper armor on light attacks starts 100 milliseconds later now, at 300 ms into the attack. From what I can tell, this makes zero difference in terms of frame advantage, it still trades even with 400 ms attacks. Hyper armor on lights has been a frequently discussed topic and many are of the opinion that it shouldn't be a thing in the first place. Reaction trading with lights is not really a thing, my slow ass managed to do it only a handful of times when we recorded pre-patch footage, and not at all after the patch. But I don't know, maybe some reaction monster can still do it. I doubt it though. So if that change was aimed at those handful of people, then I guess it worked. In regards to the guard break vulnerability on his charged heavies, we tested the following. I would charge my heavy, then the other person would reaction GB the attack, and I would release it on reaction to see in a GB indicator. No GB was successful. They didn't give us a number, but seems pretty immune to me. Another character change I want to talk about is Lawbringer's Impale, now following the usual binding rules. This made Jibin for Impales a tactic from the past. The timing is so tight now that even with tons of practice, this probably can't be done consistently. Impale ganks will probably be utilized with feats now. I've already shown you some in a past video, so check that one out. A new one got introduced with the infection change on Nusha. The feat now applies a light hitstun reaction. This means the guard goes away. This is an example of a feat that would allow a Lawbringer to guarantee an Impale. The infection changes itself are pretty straightforward. I don't think I need to go over the others, just look them up. Black Prior has had a few of his bulwark counter possibilities removed. While we had some bug fixes, we sadly also had some ganks removed, most notably with the Jormungandr or in general any stagger type of flips. For whatever reason, this included BP no longer being able to flip Crash and Charge. Stampede Charge works just fine though. Now for the Revenge Lock changes, Yubi seems to have the following in mind. If your move requires a second input, which occurs after the opponent has had his Revenge bar filled, then it can be Revenge parried. If your move only has one input, yet two distinct timings, then it will still Revenge Lock. Examples here are Nusha's Trap or BP's Flip. One input, but Revenge is fed with the initial grab, and not the moment the damage occurs. Moves like Impale and Crash and Charge still lock for a considerable amount of time during the traveling, I guess you could say. A bug that hasn't been fixed was the target swap on Shaman Bite, which still causes a considerable lock time. I've explained this in detail in an older video, feel free to refresh your memory. In general, when it comes to revenge lock, I'd like for Ubisoft to give us a clear idea of what their intentions are, so we can point towards the outliers. As it is right now, we're only guessing whether something works as intended or is considered a bug. Last topic I want to quickly go over are the map changes to Sanctuary Bridge. The map is currently one of the few that is played in tournaments. I guess it's without question that there are way worse maps out there that require some serious attention, so whether that was a factor in choosing Sanctuary Bridge, I don't know. The most important aspects were first of all these ladders here. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think they make any difference whatsoever. Ladders are a whole separate issue, so I don't know why we need more, especially these here, but oh well. In mid, we have ledge options removed or limited. Welcome changes in my book. The capture points aren't as cramped anymore, we actually have more fighting space now, which is also pretty nice. Removing more stalling options is a good thing. I'll make a whole separate video about this issue in the future. I have some fun clips. The drop, especially on the C point, is annoying as hell. For one, it adds another drop possibility. We do not need more instant kill options. Don't remove some and add others. I personally hate having drop locations like these to be the fastest possible route to mid. I don't know, I tend to swing too much in one direction when judging changes like that. The ladders are probably still useful in some situations. It'll take a few more matches to say for sure how much the map has improved. Overall, it's a better map now, but it hasn't changed my perception of the map as a whole. But maybe that was their intention after all, small changes without altering the big overarching strategy the map is played by. Let's call it here now. There are other smaller changes in the patch notes, but as I've stated so often in the past, I can't go over every single one without bloating the video. I will link to the notes in the video description so you can check for yourself. Should there still be questions, you know where to find me. Either post a comment or ask in Discord. With that said, I hope the video was helpful. Thanks for watching. Latest everybody.